This is a test of the Boundary Park alert system.
For Norwood. He might get on the end of it. It's Norwood! He's done it! Oldham's man of the moment! To drag them level again! Fondop is in there, Martin! Has he got all the way in? This is absolutely incredible! From looking down and out, Oldham Athletic now lead at Wembley.
Hello and welcome to another goosebump-inducing edition of the Boundary Park Alert System with me, Matt Dean, Andy Halliwell. Hello, Andy.
Good morning, Matthew. I mean, it just sends tingles down the spine listening to that again, doesn't it? It's amazing.
Listening into that again.
I have watched that clip. I probably over 100 times on the Monday following the game last week. On the tube on the way into work, I just watched it on repeat and didn't stop watching it for the whole journey in. And by the time I arrived at work, I had tears welling up in my eyes again. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Speaking of things that make you cry, Dave Bradley's here.
Hello.
You all right, mate?
Yeah, good. Yeah, amazing.
You had a nice, sensible night last night, knowing you had the podcast this morning, didn't you?
Yeah.
It's good. Do you want to tell the listeners about how sensible you were and how seriously you took this morning's recording?
I got in at 5 a.m. Because I went watching Morrissey and I drank the equivalent of Prestwich's area of Guinness.
So hang on a minute. We went to watch Morrissey at the Co-op last night, which finishes about 11. That's a good 6 hours left. Where were you until 5 a.m.?
The Definitely Maybe bar in Manchester, and right. I took over the DJing duties because a guy just did it on his iPhone, so I was just filming the dance floor with Shrimp Rocking Beats. I did play that as well, and everyone stopped. Everyone stopped.
I'm not surprised.
I quickly stopped and then put the Smiths on, and everyone started cheering again.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, "Don't play that again." Ever.
No,
I was like, okay,
that's fair enough. It's not designed for the dance floor, Dave.
No, it's not music, is it? That's why.
It's art. That's why it's art. Like James Norwood's goal, which was art. I mean, we're in unprecedented territory. I mean, first of all, it's the 8th of June, so and we're still recording because the season is just over. So that's unprecedented. But last weekend we all went to Wembley and watched Latics win. And whatever happens in future, even if Latics don't go back to Wembley for another 100 years and win, we'll be the first people. And those people that were there, those 21,000, will be the people who saw Oldham win at Wembley for the first time. Not only that, we got promoted for the first time in 35 years, 34 years, whatever it was. Incredible. I mean, if there's any scrap of content out there that's unseen by all of us listening, I mean, it's been amazing actually, the amount of stuff that's actually been out there, the amount of focus and attention that was on it from different fans, from different vlogs, from different people all over the place, and we'll come on to that a bit later, Andy. But we've seen the photographs of you, Andy, bawling. You know, you were. It was the same for me. The second goal, we played that. You wanted to play that because you wanted to that particular clip because it shows like there was obviously loads of noise when that first goal, the Norwood's goal, the second goal went in. And it was at that point that Harriet was actually crying on my shoulder. I was fine then. She lost it on that second goal. But when that third goal went in, you can tell, Andy, can't you, the difference in the noise? It's just intense, isn't it? Like everyone there's a sense of disbelief, I think, which is what makes the noise so raw and wild.
The visceral change in outpouring of delight on that second goal. You can hear the sheer elation in people's voices. I mean, with Norwood's goal, it was relief, wasn't it? It was a relief cheer that we were not out of the game. When Harrods goes in, it's a unbridled joy cheer that we cannot believe we're in front. And I think everybody knew at that point, if we now just set up shop to hang on, that's it. The game's won on that goal. And those two moments happen within 120 seconds of each other. So you're still on a high, and the second one builds upon the first one, and that's where I just completely lost control of my emotions. I couldn't hold them in, and I was just bawling with tears. Tears, as my son kept saying to me, they're happy tears, aren't they, Dad? I'm like, yes, son, they're happy tears. And he's then crying with me, whether it's performative or copy behaviour. But he was, emotionally taken along the journey. My mum and cousin were hugging him in tears. My wife, who doesn't really like football, was welling up. Just the whole row, like a real, that family moment that you'll never be able to buy or repeat, was delivered by those players and the management and people at the club, and that will be something that I will take literally to my deathbed, and so that's why it was such an important moment. And so I just wanted to play that at the start so you could hear that sheer change. I mean, one of the things that I recall saying about at the start of our first season in the National League, so nearly 3 years ago now, I remember saying on an early episode, I've got a friend who's a Bristol Rovers fan who I work with down here in London. And of course, he went to their playoff final in 2015, the one that used to be the highest ever attendance record in the National League final, that one. And I remember him saying to me, they won on penalties and they bounced back at the first attempt. And he said when they all went to the pub afterwards, which now you've got in your mind's eye, the Green Man, they all went to the pub afterwards. There was everybody was there was more relief than joy and outpouring of emotion. It was more relief. Thank God that's over with. I don't want to have to endure that nonsense in that league again. And I remember thinking to myself at the time, and I think I said it on a podcast.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
that's how I imagined I would feel getting out of this league, because my emotion, my eyes on us being a League One, top end of League One, trying to push in the Championship sort of club. How wrong was I? Because I could not contain the emotion, and I think it's all wrapped up in those 34 years and the awful stagnation that the club has been in since really the mid noughties. And I'm sure we'll come on and talk about this, but if you listen to James Norwood's interview after the game, they interview a lot of the players. By the way, the media team have been exceptional, haven't they, this week?
Yeah, without doubt.
Great work. But James Norwood's interview, I thought, was really quite enlightening. He showed a real understanding of us, didn't he, in that interview, where he said it's not easy to support this football club. This football club has stagnated, and he really demonstrated quite a lot of empathy with the situation. I was quite impressed for a man who is quite aloof and a little bit arrogant. He showed quite a human touch in his interview. I thought it was an amazing day.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about it's obvious that the years of pent up frustration and all that coming out and everything, and the 5 years since we got relegated and the journey we've been on with how close the club came to going under, that was very much in my mind at full time when I started to sob, but also just this kind of realization that after spending 3 seasons in the National League, how hard it is to get out of, how difficult it is, and the enormity of the achievement, the enormity of doing it the way we've done it in the playoffs, to avoid more seasons in there, and the uncertainty. It was always a case of like, we will get back, but when? And if we'd not, that's why I felt so low before James Norwood's equaliser. I felt, going to have to do this again next season. And I'm thinking we've got to play York, we've got to play Carlisle coming down, Forest Green, and Backwoodmore, and this
Truro,
big well. Truro, on the way up. I'm thinking like, oh God, well, when's it going to be? When are we going to be able to get out of this division? Do we have to do it all again next season? And there's no guarantees we're going to. And so I was just delighted, because it is such a difficult division to get out of, and we've seen other teams struggle year after year after year. So it was massive relief, but it was actually, I was just really happy that we were out of it.
Well, we've done this before. The average is 4 years. But if you think about some of these teams, Grimsby 6, Notts County and Oxford United 4, Exeter, Mansfield, Doncaster, Luton 5, Chesterfield and Lincoln 6. These are all proper Football League clubs, and they've taken a lot longer. So it is a mixture of relief, elation. The club can grow again now.
Stockport took 13 years, didn't it? Didn't they? 13 years, Stockport.
Yeah. Wrexham was 15, wasn't it? Yeah. So, the thing is, I think the other thing is that makes it all so emotional and the impact of it is the turnaround, because obviously Dave, you never wavered. You always had 100% faith in Mickey Mellon along the way. This isn't really relevant to you. But the way that we did it was unbelievable. It came out of nowhere, and an unbelievable statistic. There are some unbelievable statistics that have come out of this little campaign. Obviously, the National League playoff attendance playoff final attendance record. Then there's Joe Garner, the first player to score in all 3 rounds of the playoffs, and we scored 2 goals in 2 minutes in every game. That is unbelievable. That is it's anti-Oldham. We all season we say, we score 1 goal. Not just this season, many seasons. Why can't we score another and just kill teams off? And it's the one thing that we've always wanted to see our team do. And then when push came to shove and it mattered, in the first 12 minutes against Halifax, that was it, game over. And it involved 2 goals in 2 minutes. York,
second and third goal in every game.
Yeah, it's unreal, isn't it? It's unbelievable.
Do you know an interesting stat from that final? We were ahead for 9 minutes.
Yeah.
That's it. 9 minutes of 120 minutes of football. We were ahead for 9 minutes. And it's just...
We were the better side, though. We were the better side over the course of the 120 minutes.
Yeah. You had a bit of a moan at Fond up at half-time, didn't you, Andy? Didn't you? Do you remember?
Well, listen, he had quite a good game, right? Actually, as it happens, he put himself about. He was an absolute menace. If he wasn't in the position he was in, potentially Harrott's goal wouldn't have gone in, because he was there putting the keeper off,
causing chaos in the box. Yeah,
he kept getting himself in positions. But yes, of those 2 chances he had, the one that he chipped the keeper, that it was a bit unlucky. He was very close, but he could have slid it under him to the keeper's right. And then the one that he just couldn't get out of his feet in time and stabbed it at the keeper. One of those has got to go in a game of that magnitude, and that's what you get, isn't it? Every player misses. James Norwood missed one.
He did, yeah. But that all comes down to that thing of why strikers like James Norwood, and obviously we're going to come on to the squad pod section of the show a bit later, but why players like James Norwood are worth the weight in gold, and why we've said it all season. James Norwood, 1-on-1 at Wembley. If it's going to come down to whoever's got a 1-on-1, you want it to be Norwood. And if that finish of Fondops in the first half had gone in, you'd be saying what a finish, because he dinks it over. It was so unlucky. We're talking about millimeters on his boot. If he just tips it slightly more and gets a bit more bend on it, it's so unlucky. It really is. Yeah. The second goal, I think he should have done better. The second attempt, I think he should have done better. But I think, unfortunately for him, I think the one chance he definitely would have scored was the header that Vimal took off his head. Fondop is far more effective with his head. He's a better header of the ball than he is, especially when he's got a bit of time to think about it. You saw that shot against York where where the keeper said it was a great instinctive shot and stuff like that. But I think if Vimal leaves that and Fondop coming in at the back post, he buries that and it's a goal all day long. So it's just a bit unlucky. But what we've said it all season. So you want a 1-on-1 towards the end of the game. You want it to be James Norwood, but the thing is with that goal, it wasn't just it's a 1-on-1. He made that goal. It was a brilliant ball from Jez, but the work he had to do, facing the wrong way, jumping up in the air and taking it down like that, it was sublime. It was just a brilliant goal, worthy of worthy of the stage at Wembley, but certainly could have graced a much higher division. It was just superb, and that was it. That was the thing. And this thing now we have to comes around about patience and understanding and looking at the season as a whole. And I think, we said Mellon, I think Mellon was planning. This is what he was planning. And I keep talking about this conspiracy theory. I think maybe the exact finish might be a little bit too much of a fine tune, but it's like Mickey Mellon wanted to keep something in reserve so that when we got to the playoffs, we were keeping teams guessing. They weren't expecting the Oldham that came out. It was like a different animal completely.
I think through the benefit of hindsight, when you look back on it, I think if you look at some of those interviews he was doing, Tamworth away sticks out in my mind, where he was saying, just keep the points tally ticking over. It's fine. We're in a good position. We're doing okay. And people are beginning to lose their head because we're just not performing well or competing with teams that we should be trying to put away. And all of us, to some degree, were getting worried. We were all worried.
Rightly so. We were worried about the form, weren't we? The form was poor
because you could envisage getting into the playoffs and going out with a whimper. And had we done that, then you would have had to have a bit of an autopsy on it in the summer and then come to some decisions. But I think what he was probably aware of with the years of experience that he had, that as soon as you got into the playoffs, once they were there, and everyone then starts afresh on an equal footing, he knew he had big match players in his squad that he could motivate and rely upon to turn up on the big occasion. And he, without him saying, because it would be very difficult for him to say this, look, chill out. When we get in the playoffs, we'll come good because I've got players that are going to turn it on then. You can't really say that because you open yourself up to criticism with, well, why are they not turning it on now? Which is something we could probably talk about a bit. But he probably knew that he had that in the locker. And you've got to give him some credit as well, because if you look at Hinshelwood at York, who possibly doesn't quite have the same level of experience, and I've listened to the York podcast, the one post our game, just for the sport of it, and they've said that they felt that in the build up to the game, he was showing a lack of confidence, or the tactics that the whole Ollie Pearce is injured stuff, and he felt that they felt that he hadn't quite set them up right. Well, Mickey Mellon had set us up perfectly, hadn't he? He'd got the balance of keeping everything calm and natural and normal versus winding them up a bit. These are big games. He just, his experience began to show through. And so, I mean, everyone deserves, all the players, every one of them to a man, have been magnificent in those 3 games. But Mickey Mellon needs to take an enormous amount of credit for the way he's managed them through that.
100%. Dave?
I think a few people have spoke to the players in envy after the game, and they said that when they got into the playoffs, Mickey Mellon's training completely changed. He turned into, he's been quite a calm manager, but when they got and secured the playoffs, he became an absolute monster. The training intensified threefold, and they were absolutely run ragged by Mellon. He turned into an absolute monster, so aggressive, and everything depended on each game of the playoffs, because he just said there's no other option than going up, and he absolutely ran them to the absolute, ran them ragged. You know what I mean? And the players were like, there's no other option but to win every game because of Mellon's approach in the playoff campaign. As soon as they secured it properly and they got 5th, that was it. He turned into the green-eyed monster, really. And it was really interesting to hear that the players are actually saying that they preferred that sort of level of training because he's very calm, he's very thoughtful, he's very reserved in terms of how he approaches things, other than derbies and the playoffs. So it was really interesting to hear.
I mean, it opens up some questions about how you approach a season as opposed to just a playoff campaign and all that, but. Look, the main thing was going up this season, and I think probably after Christmas time, when there was some, he didn't have his best players available, and in fairness, you don't want to be rushing him back. You can't rush Manny back when he's got an ACL injury anyway, and he's not. But you wanted him back for the end of the season. You needed James Norwood. We didn't know how much we needed Joe Garner But I was talking to a Preston fan a couple of weeks ago who said that like he absolutely loved him. He's just an absolute legend at Preston, and we've seen why that is in over the last playoff trilogy, the playoff trilogy. You know, he was absolutely outstanding. He made a massive difference, and you know, it's a new season next season now, and we'll see how we get on. But I think for me a really crucial thing is not just about the team and not just about the manager, although they all deserve tremendous credit because without them, none of this happens. But it's that feeling of collective empowerment, if you like the fact that we've all felt part of this journey in the playoffs and the way that we've all turned up. Because if you listen to a lot of the comments on the phone if you read a lot of the tweets out there on the build-up, some of the things that people were saying, I'd rather us not go up this season with Mellon in charge and all this kind of stuff. And like there was some right nonsense being spoken, but you know, people really getting, you know, down and out and deflated and depressed and blah blah blah, crestfallen, to coin a phrase. Yeah. You know, like all this stuff that was going around, and it was just, you know, and you know, like we've already said, like there were concerns over it. You know, I mean, some of them were patient and to coin another phrase, zen amongst us were saying, look, we're in the playoffs. He's got pedigree in the playoffs. Let's just open, see what happens. So none of us was expecting the turnaround. Let's be fair. None of us were expecting it to be so chalk and cheese, but it was, and that was fantastic. But I think a big part of that, and the point I was coming to was, despite all that kind of negativity and pessimism and lack of hope for that kind of turnaround, when it mattered against Halifax, the fans did not carry any of that into the game. Not one job. As soon as those tickets were announced, people were snapping them up. The atmosphere, the build-up, the excitement, everybody, whatever they were carrying in terms of doubt was dropped. And then 45 minutes before kickoff at Halifax, there was an incredible atmosphere in Boundary Park, and that did not stop until the playoff trophy was handed over. The fans have been absolutely magnificent. Every single one of you listening, every single one of us that's been involved in this whole playoff campaign. And for me, I think it holds a mirror up to us now. I think we have set an expectation and level for ourselves because, you know, you look at the players and you say, well, it's hard for them to keep it up for a long season, a cold season. You know, you're playing some, you know, there's still some pretty grim fixtures. You know, MK Dons at home on a Tuesday night. It's not exactly a glamour tie, is it? But, you know, if we can get ourselves up, and let's again, I mean, credit again for the, you know, you can't credit them enough, but the Atleticos, the work that they've done over the years building this up. But it wasn't just the Atleticos, although they set the standard. It was all across Boundary Park. I'm talking about the Halifax game, obviously, because it's the only one we had. But if we can recreate that at Boundary Park more often than not, or at least at the really big games, it will make a tremendous difference. It will make a huge difference to the players. That atmosphere, that support was unbelievable, as it was at York, as it was at Wembley, and we've been saying it and we've known it, the difference that fans can make, but we've never really seen it in the same in that way. And I that is my hope for next season. Now, I think if we can match. Now, obviously, playoff games are bigger than normal games, but take a percentage of what we achieved in the playoffs as fans, because we did achieve something as fans. We were magnificent. We did, you know, we get a lot of people saying Oldham fans are great. They travel, they come here, they make a lot of noise, and we do that regularly. Boundary Park has its moments. There's no doubt about it, but we can make a massive difference next season and helping us get out of this division sooner than maybe we'd be expected to.
Well, one of the other things that you've sort of linked to that as well, because I agree with you completely, is the connection that it builds with the players. We've all complained over the years about not having players stick around for very long and not having a particularly strong bond with the club, and they come in and they go out and all that sort of stuff. And obviously Mike Fondop is probably the exception. He has a genuine personal connection to the club. He just loved playing for Latics, and that's admirable. But I think there are more that come off the back of this little run. You hear people like Joe Garner, who's played, much higher level in the Championship, saying this is a really special club, because this little run of games at the end just builds connections between players and fans and the club themselves. And it's a platform to go on, isn't it? It's a platform for those players to now have lifelong relationships with our clubs, like the heroes of yesteryear that come back and tell us about those days in the Joe Royal stand or local pubs in Oldham. You may have Tom Peck come back in 20 years' time telling us about the time we got back-to-back promotions or whatever it may be. You've got this is really important time, and like you say, we can all do our job now to try and keep that bond as tight as possible. And we could be in for a few good years where we're always competing, well in whatever division we're competing in.
I think that we need to get a GoFundMe for Mike Fondop's dad to come to every League Two game so we go up again, because you met him outside the ground, didn't you, Andy? And you shook his hand. And he was such a humble man, such a lovely guy, and it was just really special that we saw him just as we were going in, because I couldn't contain myself in terms of nerves before the game. I didn't enjoy before the game. I didn't enjoy the build-up or anything like that. People are like, we'll be fine. I just couldn't cope, because it was that nervous bit of my brain going, we're going to get to the final, we're going to get beat. And then when they scored in 5 minutes, I was just absolutely broken. It broke me. And then I couldn't cope for the rest of the game. And then for us to go to extra time, I was just, it was just awful until that full-time whistle went. I didn't enjoy it. Did you?
Well, I mean, I was similar with you, Dave, whereas in the Green Man before, when we got there, it went through a whole range of emotions. Like in the car on the way down, I was sat in the back and I was like a kid. I was bouncing, I was banging, drumming, I couldn't shut up. Really, really excited. Got down to London, got to yours, Andy. Met you with you two, playing cricket and football with the lads in the back garden. I had a really good day. Yeah. Really, brilliant. Went to the pub after and then went back to the hotel. All good. Woke up in the morning, went down for breakfast, felt okay, had a good feed. Then when we got to the Green Man, for that first hour in the Green Man, I was like you, Dave. I was just sort of sat at a table, just kind of, talking to people as they're coming past and stuff, because there's obviously loads of people there that we knew, but I just felt tense and sort of a bit sick and nervous, and it. Obviously, it was handy that we were on it from 10 a.m. So, it kind of once the first couple of pints kind of kicked in and kind of took the edge off, I was all right. And then I started to enjoy the whole match build up. But prior to that, initially I was really, really nervous that morning. And then walking into Wembley was just magnificent. Walking into the concourse and walk. When I was walking out, Lucy was next to me. She said, I heard her say, I'm going to take my phone out, to film the walking in. And I was like, I'm going to take this in. I'm not, I don't need a phone. I want to walk in and just take this in and watching that magnificent arena just open out in front of you, and then just looking around and seeing the blue and tangerine and we're here, Oldham are here. For the first time, I'm back in Wembley for something special. And then from that point on, it was just, it was the same for us all then, wasn't it? It was an emotional roller coaster. I mean, the thing was, the boys behind me, my nephews, were just, as soon as Southampton scored, that were it. They were off. They were sobbing. They thought, this is it. It's all over. And this is the point of what I make, really, is that we have to draw a line now. We can draw a line under typical Oldham. Oldham never this. Oldham Oldham played the playoffs perfectly. We smashed Halifax. We smashed York, and the experience that we had in that team meant that when we went 1 down, we didn't panic. We got the game back to 1-1. When we went 2-1 down, we didn't panic. We got the game back to 2-2 and we won the game. And we've got promoted. So none of this kind of one of the tropes has always been, well, it's you have to expect, travel all around up and down the country and we've not seen any success and we're desperate. And well, that's done now. You've watched us win at Wembley. We've seen that now. So it's a different mindset now. We can draw a line under that 30-odd years of failure. We can draw a line we nearly got there, but obviously we didn't get there. We didn't do it because we're Oldham. All that's changed now. So we start afresh. It's a different mentality in the club. I think 100%. And we've got winners in charge of the club who expect success, expect the club to do well, because everything, that they do in their lives, they want to do to the best of their ability. And we've got winners at the club in terms of the manager and increasingly in the playing squad. So, and it's Oldham Athletic is a different animal now. The old Oldham Athletic has been put to bed, and the new one begins.
Well, all those monkeys off our back, that longest time of any club in the top 5 divisions to have not achieved anything. It's now Everton, Colchester, Walsall. We're not on that list anymore.
Yeah.
I think I saw someone tweet, I can't remember who it was, but it was quite apt, saying that they still can't quite believe that we entered those 3 games of real significance, real importance, and each game got more important and more difficult, and we came through every single one of them. Is real testament to where this club is at now. And I think Nicky Adams, who's off to Wigan, is need to be a coach for the manager there. He said in his parting shot was, "This club is in good hands." The fact that one of the owners comes on the phone in, Luke comes on the phone in just to chat to you about how he feels. That connection is everywhere. It's from the supporters through to the players, through to the owners. There's a nice sort of relationship between everybody. There
was a couple of moments there on the phone. And did you notice with Luke where he got really emotional?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's real. It's real. It's genuine. There's the emotion that connects us all is genuine. No, there's no platitudes. It's not, blowing smoke up anybody's arse. This last month has been incredibly emotional from top to bottom.
It has, and what it means for them. I'm so delighted. I'm delighted for us all, but I'm delighted for them because, £10,000 a day that they told us about. These going up. If you're going to go up, the way we did it is the way to do it, because the amount of income that the club has generated over these 3 games is way above what Barnet have generated by winning the league. This is obviously the most difficult way to do it, but this is the best way to do it. So whatever they've earned, £750,000 worth of income over these 3 games, you've then got the extra near £2.5 million worth of income coming next season. You get your EPPP protection back on your academy. They can restart the academy. It's just.
It virtually wipes out the losses, doesn't it, from that year? Obviously, it's not exactly how it works, but
No, bearing in mind the accounts were last season's accounts, not the season that's just ended.
But it's a similar amount of money that's come in, compared to what's going on. And every year that we were in the National League, we were going to lose comparable amounts of money, up to a point where you say, well, what do you do?
Stop.
You know what I mean? It's got to stop on it. And so now everything has changed. The revenue, the potential revenue, the front of shirt sponsorship goes up. The price of everything that they can command for all commercial deals and everything has risen because they've come out of this division. Costs will go up a little bit. Obviously, players' wages will increase a bit. Policing bills, stewarding bills, and things like that. There will be obviously increased costs for being in the Football League again. But that extra revenue that comes in from extra fans on the gate, extra away fans coming and paying cash every week, all that stuff. It's just. And the thing is now, I think we've got to set our sights on, obviously, first season back, I don't want to get a bit ahead of ourselves, but Latics aren't a League Two club either.
No.
So now we can start thinking, right, we've done that. Tick out of the National League. It's out of League Two. That's the next objective. Back into League One, where minimum we belong. Exactly.
I'd just like to make a point. When you said you wanted to take it in, I was the same. I often do this when I go to gigs. I tend not to film stuff because you just want to watch it as it is. Mm-hmm. But what was amazing about this is there are so many people recording things now, aren't there? That you can go back and watch it. And one of the things for me, which was great, was there was a chap who was running his own vlog channel who happened to be sat in the seat directly in front of me. I could see him doing filming. He was there with a friend of his, I think. and he posted a fantastic video that's done the rounds, and I managed to catch up with him. And we've got a 10-minute chat with him now where he just explains a little bit about his experience of the day. I'd like to invite Nick to the Boundary Park Alert System podcast. People may well have already seen Nick's content. He covered the game at Wembley last week with his own vlog, which is called From the Stands, I believe. Is that right, Nick?
Yeah, from the stand. Yeah,
from the stand. Yeah. So give us a little bit of background about you. How did you end up at the game? What's your story?
Well, yeah. First of all, thank you for inviting me here, and thank you for sharing my video with the audience. I really appreciate it. Well, I'm a big fan of ground hopping. Basically, that's my hobby. I try to attend as many games, as many stadiums as possible, and I'm trying to highlight the atmosphere in all those stadiums. I'm trying to share it with the global audience. So I couldn't miss such a game as Oldham versus Southend. Both teams, well, guys, none of you belong to the non-league. All of you are supposed to be in the league level. So yeah, I knew that I have to be there, and I was literally trying to catch a ticket. I was waiting for all the updates because I know there was like this disaster with Wembley Station. What was it? Wembley Park with the closure, with this limit on the capacity of Wembley on that day. And yeah, I was trying to choose which side to catch the ticket, like where it would be easier for me. And well, I was neutral before the game, but I left the game as an Oldham fan because that atmosphere, those emotions, well, it was unforgettable. It was honestly, it was my best ever experience at Wembley.
Yeah,
but maybe not. Yeah, sorry. Not even Wembley. I think it was one of the best atmospheres in England I've ever seen. So it was fantastic.
Well, I'm just looking at your account on YouTube, and you were at Wembley for the League One playoff final between Leyton Orient and Charlton. You've been to Cambridge United, Dartford, Cray Valley. You've covered all these games before. What's your background? Where do you come from, and what football team do you support?
I come from Estonia. As you could notice, my native language is Russian, so my main audience is Russia, Ukraine, and some Russian-speaking countries. But I'm trying, since I'm living here, I'm trying to cover also like some of my videos. I'm trying to do subtitles in English because I know that some games are very interesting for the English-speaking people, and I haven't tried yet doing vlog in English, but probably I will think about it. So yeah, you saw I was at Dartford with Cray Valley. So Cray Valley is my local team. We are like 7th tier of English football. It's the Eastern League Premier. I support them, but yeah, I have like my main team is West Ham United.
Okay.
Actually, today is a big date for me. On this day, 2 years ago, I was in Prague when we won the Conference League. It was a fantastic night as you guys had a week ago. So yeah. I think that was the day when I had tears on my eyes when I was crying because those emotions. You know me, you know what I felt, and I know what you were feeling when the final whistle blown last week. I remember like you were literally crying, you were happy, and everyone around you. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm so pleased that I see. So for anyone that's listening who hasn't worked this out, you were actually sat right in front of me, in the seat, literally in front of me, and I could see you filming and wondering where I might see your content later. But I'm so glad you chose to sit in the Oldham end, because your coverage has caught some really quite special moments for my family, because my wife, my children, my mother and my cousin were all with me, and you captured a lot of our emotions on your vlog, and that will live long in the memory. So from a personal level, I'd like to say thank you, because we were able to watch that back and enjoy seeing how we reacted. Yeah, I completely lost control of my emotions and it was uncontrollable. Once we'd gone behind, to come back so quickly into the game, I couldn't really contain myself. For the reasons you described, it was such a big game for us to get back in the Football League. I mean, seeing as you're a West Ham fan, I don't know whether you'll know, but we have one of our most famous games was against West Ham. You should look it up and familiarise yourself with an Oldham West Ham game from some years ago. I'll leave it there. But what did you make of the game? I noticed in your coverage, you make comment comparing the Oldham Southend atmosphere to the Charlton Leyton Orient one. So how did you find it on the day?
Well, the atmosphere on the Oldham Southend was uncomparable to what I saw, what I heard a week earlier. You could also see it in my video about the Charlton Leyton Orient game. There was half stadium was absolutely silent, and that's where I was. It was Leyton Orient side. They were like absolutely mute, and I sent my wife to the Charlton Athletic end, and she was enjoying because I managed to get tickets to both ends, and we ended up Actually, I even before the game, I even created a poll in my Telegram channel. I was asking my subscribers, guys, which stand should I go and where should I send my wife? So, and the results were literally 230 versus 230. So I said, okay, guys, I will decide on the day, and I decided to go with the Orient fans. Well, it was not the best choice, but all in all. Half of the stadium was quite good, but it's uncomparable. Absolutely uncomparable to you guys. You were fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, and also kudos to Southend fans. They were also very good. Very good.
They did. They did make a lot of noise. Yeah, it was good. It was good support, and I think you covered it. It was obviously a record attendance for a National League player final. So it's just great to get. The reason we invited you on is it's a great vlog. It's been shared amongst our fan base already. We thought we'd give you the opportunity to promote it as well as your channel more broadly. But it was just great to talk to you to get a sort of a neutral point of view, because we don't necessarily. We're amongst it all the time, so we think that we're a good fan base that makes a lot of noise. But it's great to hear you say that. What did you think of the quality of the football, given it was 5th tier of England?
Well, it was also on a very, very high level. It was entertaining game. It was especially for a neutral fan. It was a super beautiful game. I know, each end were having their own emotions and. If you could just forget that you're supporting your team here, I was enjoying. It was a really interesting game. It was entertaining. And once again, if I compare it to what I saw a week earlier at the same stadium, it's uncomparable. Charlton Leyton Orient game. The quality of football was honestly, it was a lot lower than what I saw during the National League finals. So yeah, it was. Really uncomparable, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, it's brilliant to hear. We hope to get back to League One and possibly beyond one day, as the size of our club should be, and so should Southend. So it's great to hear that you think it was a good game and you enjoyed it. And will you keep an eye out for Oldham scores in the future now, Nick?
Yes, for the next season, I already have an aim to visit your stadium. I need to come to Oldham just because some people in the comments told me that you should better go for the cup games, because during the league games, the atmosphere is not very special. I don't know. Anyway, I want to see it. I want to hear it. And finally, I want to buy myself an Oldham pin.
Well, listen, you will be very, very welcome at Boundary Park whenever you wish to come. I'm sure if you do another vlog from that, you'd be welcome with open arms. There's another vlogger, an English vlogger called Lee, Around the Grounds is his account, and he's really been taken on by Latics fans as like one of our own. So I'm sure you get the same treatment. But it's been absolutely brilliant talking to you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your experience. Just remind everybody, if they want to look you up, where can they find you?
I think you can find me on YouTube. Just search for From the Stand, and I'm always there. I'm trying to cover as much football as possible. And unlike many other vloggers, I focus on supporters, not on the game itself.
Indeed, you do. Oh, it was a brilliant vlog. I really enjoyed watching it. Thank you once again for coming on, and best of luck, and hope to see you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me here, and hope to see you in the future. Looking forward to this episode.
Yeah, no, be out on Monday, so sure to listen. Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate.
On Friday, the 11th of July, Billington's Oldham and indietributes.co.uk present Oasis Live 25. If you're not at the opening night of the Oasis reunion, bring it on down to Billington's to enjoy Oasis, the live Oasis tribute, playing the biggest tunes by the band that will live forever. Enjoy cigarettes and alcohol, indulge in a champagne supernova, but please lay off the Columbia stuff. Listen up, stay young and never fade away as DJ Chris Gallagher provides more supersonic sounds from rock and roll stars until 2 a.m. Tickets on sale now from billingtons.co.uk, price just £7.50 or £10 on the night. Get in the mood for Oasis with Oasis, Live 25 at Billingtons, Friday the 11th of July.
So it was just it was really interesting to hear him. Obviously, English is not his first language, but he communicated pretty well about his experience of that day, and he genuinely, both off sort of camera and privately to me, was just saying how impressed he was with our support. He thought it was an unbelievable support base. We made an absolute racket. He really enjoyed himself, and he thought that the quality of football was as good as the League One player final only a week before. So, we have got a lot to look forward to, I think. Just hankering back to the point you made before about supporters playing their part and Mickey Mellon continuing to recruit a strong squad that can compete in League Two. I've been critical of Mickey Mellon for signing older players, but it worked, didn't it? It genuinely works. Getting experience in at this point really works.
It worked because they were all available at the end of the season. So, I mean, we've had a season to prepare and stuff like that, I suppose, and make sure that people were ready. But I think, we're going to come on to the squad pod part of the show now and look at. Obviously the club's retain list is out. I just want to say that recruitment now. And I think that Mickey said this to us before, and it's been evident with the success of Stockport and Wrexham, is you're not just recruiting for League Two at this stage, are you? You're recruiting for League... Now we're in League Two, you're recruiting for League One. And the players that we bring in, I think, are going to have to be of a certain standard. And obviously, a lot of the players that we've brought in, all right, the bodies are not as... fit and able as they used to be, but they've had some, they played at a much higher level, and they're quality players, and their ability is above the National League, and that's been demonstrated in the playoffs. So we're not going to be talking about who we are going to be recruiting, because that remains to be seen, but we are going to be talking about what we would do with the squad we've got. And yeah, the list's out. So plenty of people played along, Andy. We've seen quite a few sheets filled in on Twitter and whatnot. So yeah, let's get stuck into it. The squad pod 2025.
You've been looking forward to doing this for weeks, haven't you? I don't know whether your perspective has changed a bit now, having what's happened in the last fortnight. But yeah, have you got your sheets ready, you two? You filled them in. We all filled them in before the club announced theirs.
We did.
So.
Yeah.
Just as a reminder, you've got 4 decisions to make. You can either release a player if the contract is up. You can choose to keep them. A keep is if their contract goes beyond this summer. Extend or offer a contract to someone who's out of contract, or transfer list somebody who is under contract. Those are your 4 choices. So we've got 4 goalkeepers to have a look at. So we'll go through the 4 goalkeepers. I think, having looked at your sheets when you filled them in, we're probably in agreement. But let's start with Matt Hudson, because this, I know a lot of people will debate this one, but Matt Hudson, he's out of contract. So what do you do with him? Offer him a contract or release him?
Yeah, keep him. Offer him a contract.
Extend.
Yeah. I'm of the same view. I know that there is interest from the SPL. There has been for quite a few months. And so I think he may have been seeing where we end up. Hopefully now we can convince him to stay. And I don't know what you think. He has a rick in him, doesn't he, every now and again? Those rushes of the blood to the head when he came out off his line at Boundary Park on his first game back from injury, as an example. I actually think, if I'm being hypercritical, he could have done better with both of Southend's goals. Like, he didn't need to come off his line straight away, and he could have parried that cross from Scott Morris away from Parallon.
I think the second goal, everyone's been overcritical. I think that deflection really, he did really well to get his hands on it. Really, I thought it's really difficult when you get a deflection like he got for that second goal. But the first one, I agree. But then he saved us in the last period of extra time with that save. That save was outstanding.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, I think we're all in agreement on this one. I think that he's a good enough keeper, and he's only 26. So there is, keepers don't usually mature until they're in the 30s, do they?
No. And consistency in your back line is really important. Players knowing each other and they do improve, like you say, Andy, season on season. So, yeah, I think that hopefully Matt Hudson will sign.
And also, he's just come from non-league football, so I'd ever want to go and play in Scotland. That'd just be like a backwards step, wouldn't it, playing in Scottish football? Because that is pretty much non-league, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, let's do the other 3 keepers.
Sorry.
Jake Dennis, on loan from Cardiff.
See you.
Tom Donachie.
Extend.
Yeah, he did enough in that spell to show us that he's a good goalie. So I definitely like to keep hold of him.
Me too. So we agree on that. So in effect, what we're saying is we go into the season with Hudson and Donachie competing for number 1. I mean, do we need a third keeper? What would you do with Scott Maloney?
I'd let him go, from what I've seen.
Me too. Now, what I found interesting is in the club's retain list, it's a very big list of people that they're still in conversation with, and I think Scott Maloney's name is in there. I wouldn't. I'd let him go like you, and maybe look for a third keeper from somewhere else if we think that's absolutely necessary. But I guess we'll see what happens from there. Okay, so we're in agreement there. We're keeping Hudson and Donachie. Let's get stuck into the defenders. Regan Ogle is under contract for another year.
I'd give him another year. I'd say I'd give him another year on top of that. I'd extend his contract.
Dave?
Keep it. Just keep him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably of the same view as Dave. I think I'd keep him, see how he fares in League Two. If he's doing well in the first half of next season, by the time you get to Christmas, maybe you offer him an extension on that.
I don't know. That's probably fair. Yeah,
you've got good player at National League level. So we agree on that. Mark Kitchen.
Extend his contract. Well, he's out of contract, isn't he? So I'll give him.
He is out of contract. You'd give him another year, would you, Dave? What would you do?
Yeah, extend.
Now, before the playoff run, I was definitely in 2 minds about this one. I think Mark Kitchen has not at various times not been. He's not really quick enough. He wasn't really getting behind, around the back and getting enough crosses into the box. His defending sometimes can be a bit suspect. He's reasonably good in the air where we hit that diagonal. I'm literally 50-50. If there's a better left back available that we could attract, I might be prepared to let him go.
I think we need to sign one anyway, Andy. I think Kitchen plays left wing back, and I'm assuming we're going to go into this next season assuming we're going to be playing with the same formation of 3 at the back and wing backs, right?
Yeah.
So I think Kitchen does that role, and he needs somebody else in competition with him for that position, and there isn't anyone. So I think one of the signings we do need to make is another left wing back anyway. So for me, if you can sign one who's better than him, brilliant. Like get him playing, and Kitchen can be the one who tries to knock him out of position. But you know what you're getting with Kitchen, and he's an important part of the squad. So that's why I'd keep him. But I think we do need cover in that position.
Well, let's talk about Jake Leake then. What would you do with Jake Leake? He's been released by Hull, so he's available. Sign him now.
Yeah, I'd certainly try and sign him if we can. Yeah, because
this gets wrapped up in the same one for me. So you don't need more than 2 left backs, do you? So if it's Leake and Kitchen, fine. But if there's a better one out there, then one of them doesn't sign. That's kind of where I'm looking at it now. Is we probably need to set the emotion aside a little bit and see if we can maybe attract a better one. But
that more comes down to the Jake Leake thing, doesn't it? I mean, what other types of clubs are going to be coming in for him? Is he going to be playing at? Because he's come from Championship. What level do you think he's going to be playing at? I think he can play at a high level at this point. He's only young, isn't he?
I don't think he can. He's been on loan at Scunthorpe in National League North, and he's been on loan at Tranmere, and I don't think Tranmere were overly keen on him. So, he's a bit of an unknown quantity at League Two, I'd say. Look, if we go into the new season with Kitchen and League, I'm not going to be too worried. I guess my point of view is if there's a better one available, I'll probably look to twist and release one of those two.
The good thing about Jake Leake, sorry, Andy, is that he can go in and play at that centre back position as well of the back three, can't he? So
and he could be a sellable asset as well. It could be a sellable asset, can't he, down the line as well?
Yeah. So I think we all agreed on everything so far, haven't we?
I think we have. Other than the trying to upgrade, looking to upgrade. Let's talk about the other side. So Jake Caprice, he's under contract for another year.
Yeah, I've said keep him.
Yeah, so have I.
See how we get on in League Two.
Yeah, the same. He's 32. He's probably one of the players that offers a bit of pace, and he has been good at points this season. So I'd agree with that, and then review where we're at. Will Sutton.
I would. He's out of contract.
Out of contract. Yeah.
I like Will Sutton. He's definitely not the finished article, but he's only 22. I'd give him another deal.
Yeah, same here.
Release.
I think he could be a sellable asset. If he gets a run of games, because he's a good player. He's a bit like Tom Hamer. He has good games. He has, and then if he has a shocker, he does have a shocker. But I do like him because he gets forward and he bombs forward and he gives you something different in the defence for playing out the way that Mellon plays. So I give him another deal. You've got to invest in youth as well. I
believe that I don't know whether this has changed in the years we've been away, but in the Football League, there are some rules now about homegrown players in your squad. You've got to have a certain amount of homegrown players in your squad, I think. So whether that plays into that, I'm not sure. But I think it's a bit like, I remember the Stockport Pod lads when we signed Liam Hogan off them. When we came down into this league, and I said to them, "What's he like?" And they said, "Oh, he'll do a job in National League." I said, "Well, why don't you want him if you think he's good?" And he's like, "Well, we've moved on to a different level now. He's not good enough for where we're going." I feel that's probably the case with Will Sutton for me, and we need to look to upgrade.
He made his debut in the Football League for us, though, didn't he?
He did. I just don't think he's pushed on in that period, and maybe that's the likes of Unsworth and Mellon since playing him at right back when he's more of a centre half.
Correct. Yeah,
has possibly not helped him, but I think he's had enough years now, and I'd probably look to try and sign better. Which leaves us really with the 3 centre halves. I mean, Month's got another year on his contract. We're all agreeing on that, aren't we? We're keeping him.
I'd offer him an extension now. Get another year on. Get him in there.
He's 30, so you probably got a couple of years out of him. Charlie Raglan is 32 and out of contract. What would you do with Charlie Raglan?
Extend
his contracts, definitely.
Only 1 year though for me. Given his age,
1 year with an option, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what he wants. I mean, and what other offers he's got on the table, doesn't it? You've got to. But yeah, I mean, I think he's been superb, so I'd want to sign him. Yeah. I mean, his centre halves tend to go on till 34, 35.
You've got to look as well, because look, we get onto the midfielders, is Conlon going to start to be captain? He's vice captain as well. That's the other thing. He's a proper leader, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And then that leaves us with Sean Hobson, who we already know the club have released. What did you fill in before we saw
that? I was happy to give him another year, but
yeah, same here.
So I had release.
I'm not surprised he's gone, to be honest. But again, he's another one who has looked good at times, and then been in and out, and this season he struggled with injuries and stuff like that. So,
well, it was his tackle, last ditch tackle, that set Jez up to play that long ball into Norwood, score the second goal. And I think as a defender, Sean Hobson's a good defender. I think what lets him down, and I think what Mellon looks at, is his distribution afterwards.
Yeah.
He's quite weak on the ball, isn't he? And that, I think, is when you're playing a back three, you need people to be reasonably comfortable on the ball, I think. You can't hide, just be the one that heads it away. And I think he gets caught out a bit like that. So I'm not surprised to see him go. That's where I got to as well. So we've done the defenders. Should we get stuck into the midfielders? There's quite a lot to go at in midfield, as you might recall. We'll be here for some time.
This is a list,
This is a list. Right, let's start with Tom Pett. He'd been released by Cheltenham, out of contract. What would you do? Bear in mind, he's 33.
1 year signing.
Yeah, same. I think he's been absolutely brilliant, especially in the playoff games. He's been superb. So I'd love to see him sign for at least next season.
Yeah, I think a 1 year deal is sensible. Again, you don't know what other offers he's got, but he's in these three playoff games for a 33-year-old. He's still very mobile, isn't he? He can get about. I'd have no worries about that for sure. Here's an interesting one. Harry Charsley is under contract for another year. He's only 28 years old, Harry Charsley, believe it or not. What would you do with him?
Keep him.
Yeah.
I liked him, mate. He did well for Newport. He's played a lot of league. He's played a lot of League Two games. For other clubs. I think he's decent. Yeah, I think I'd keep him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd keep him as well. Based on what I saw earlier on in the season, it's hard to know because he hasn't played and stuff. But he's under contract, so let him stay.
Yeah, he probably that's the right call. I mean, you want to have a look at that, why that injury has been the whole season, pretty much, hasn't it? And work out, the likelihood of him breaking down again. But yeah, I'd agree with that. Would seem a reasonable position to get to. Josh Lundstrom is out of contract, but we do hold a 1 year option. Would you trigger it?
Yes, and then transfer list.
Yeah, I mean, I've put to keep it. I think there is a player in Josh Lundstrom.
It's not a League Two player though, is there? It's a National League player.
We haven't seen him in League Two, have we? So I don't know, but I mean, also looking at like the amount of players from midfielders that we are planning on probably going to let go. We do. We've seen how hard it is to sign good midfielders. So at least you know what you've got. But I don't know if Mickey Bellin fancies him, to be honest. So I don't know if I think he might be on his way out anyway, regardless.
Yeah, trigger the option, sell him.
Well, he was pretty much a mainstay at that midfield three until around the new year when there was rumours of Barnett sniffing around him. And then he lost his place. Presumably there was a conversation to be had somewhere. So it feels to me like, I'd do the same as Dave. I'd definitely trigger the year, and I might be open to selling him if someone wants to pay some money. But otherwise, he would be reasonable backup in a midfield that's probably going to carry some injuries during the season, you'd assume. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Captain Tom Conlon, 29-year-old, got a year left on his contract. What do you do with it?
Keep him.
Yeah, keep him.
Yeah, agreed. Josh Kay is under contract for another year.
Keep, sell.
Well, yeah, put him on the transfer list.
Yeah, transfer list as well. Not quite up to the standard required.
No.
Jordan Rossiter has been released by Shrewsbury, so he's a free agent. What would you do?
Thanks, but best of luck in your future endeavours, Jordan. Take care.
I'd release him as well. I do like him. Jordan Terrier rather than Rossiter, you could call him. I do like him. He does a job, but I think there are better ball players in midfield. I think having the ability to tackle and all that and be a pain is great, but I think you need to be able to use the ball a bit better than Rossiter does.
Yeah, I think all three of us are in agreement on that one. I could see Mellon signing him, just to play our role in the squad where he comes and tidies up and does a job in certain situations. But
and that's it. He does that well. But
it does.
So Conlon can do that kind of role as well. Similarly, not for me.
Jezerun Uchegbalam.
Release.
Yeah, release.
I mean, there are moments, aren't there? He has moments where you think there's a player in there, but it isn't enough, and he hasn't shown enough improvement over the course of the year to warrant an extension, has he?
I don't think he fits into the system. I don't think he fits into the way that Mickey Mellon wants to play. When he came on against in the final, he didn't. He played a great ball for Norwood, but he did nowhere.
It was a hit and hope ball, wasn't it? He didn't.
But it was an accurate. Let's say it was accurate, and it got to its man. But he did nowhere near enough to play that right wing back position. He did not work hard enough. He came on at Wembley, and he did not work hard enough. And he's not a right wing back. He's too inconsistent when he gets up in the box. He doesn't know whether to shoot, whether to run with it, whether to cross it, and. I don't think we can afford to be sort of trying to, train him and develop him or whatever. I think his future lies at a lower level, personally.
Yeah, agreed.
35-year-old made of biscuits, Dan Gardner.
See ya.
I'd keep him on a party basis contract that whenever we're having a party, he's allowed to come back and join in the party because he's a great crack for a party. But
he's in negotiations, isn't he? Ongoing discussions.
That's what's listed on the retain list. Yeah, there's quite a few like that. Did they say that about Jez as well? I think they do.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because you've gone up a league, you're going to have to get better players in that are suited to that environment. And I think that there has to be a balance now between not just all aging players. There has to be some youth in there to try and develop and as Dave said earlier, find some resale value in somewhere. Dan Gardner just does not fit that brief for me. So it'd be a very, very surprising one to give him a contract, particularly with his injury record.
Yeah. Based on his injury record, as much as anything, I think it's time for him to move on.
26-year-old Matthew Worthington from Yeovil.
Cheap transfer list.
Yeah, stick him on the transfer list. I don't think he fits in to the overall plans. It's a bit of a weird one, that. But
I'll tell you what is interesting as you go through this list. Given the amount of criticism that was levelled at Mickey Mellon at times from some quarters about scattergun recruitment, there aren't many in here that he's dropped a bollock on, are there? Not many. This probably is one, but there aren't many. When you look at the course of the signings,
has he had a run of games though? He's been played out of position, hasn't he? To be fair to the lad, he's been played on the wing. He's played at wing back, like in Boston. He's not really had a run of games, has he? To be fair, so I think we're being a bit harsh on him as well from that point of view.
Maybe, he hasn't looked up to it to me.
No.
20-year-old youth prospect Kofi Moore. He's already gone, hasn't he? We know that.
He's gone. We all agreed that would be.
Yeah. 34-year-old Corey Evans.
Keep.
Again, made of biscuits. What are you going to do with him?
Keep, pay as you play.
Yeah, if you can keep him on a deal that works for both parties, then why not keep him around? Because he's been brilliant.
Yeah, basic contract with a massive appearance fee.
Well, this is where you've got to balance these players. You can't sign Dan Gardner and Corey Evans.
No, definitely not.
No. He's going to have to be one of. But I think probably the class that he showed, he's a year younger than Dan. He's played at a high level. If they
and he was outstanding in the playoffs as well, weren't he?
Oh,
and
yeah,
that tackle on that Southend player was class, weren't it? When he absolutely cleaned him out. Just love that.
22, Oliver Hammond. He's out of contract, by the way.
Keep definitely resold the last set.
You'd have to. You're offering him a new contract.
Yeah. I'd offer him another year. Yeah, 100%. Because every time he's played, we've won, and I think there's a player in there when we get onto Vimal Yoganathan, he could be that sort of the legs of the midfield in League Two.
Yeah, I like him as well. He can play that high press midfield position, and he's 22. That's young, so I think there's something in there. I mean, he was rated as like in the top 10 most valuable players.
Craig Bellamy rates him highly, and he said that if he had a run of games, he'd be playing in the national Wales team. You know what I mean?
Well, it's puzzling, therefore, that he's just not got any game time, isn't it? He threw him in away at York in the league game, and he looked pretty good, didn't he? From having not played for weeks. I think,
Andy. One of the things that we have to consider now is the difference between getting out of the National League and the experience required to do that, and now, and that I think that was more of a short-term project. We're now into a longer-term project, which is rebuilding the club and the squad, bringing in youth players, rebuilding the academy, and working through the Football League. And now, obviously, I've already mentioned on here that we'd like to get out of League Two as quickly as possible, but it's not as crucial as getting out of the National League. So this is a different phase now in the development, and so we do need to keep young players, and we do need to bring younger players through. So for me, Hammond is one of those. We can be a little bit more patient, maybe, with some of these players, and let them grow in if the club feel that they've got the raw ability.
What will be interesting to see is does Ollie Hammond want to stay here? Does he feel like the treatment that he might have received, or how he would see being received this season, is where he wants to be? I'm not entirely convinced he'll be entirely happy with the way that his career has just really stagnated this season. He's been given very little opportunity. So
I think that's kind of like what I was saying though, Andy, is where I think that he had to take a bit of a back seat because in order to get out of the National League, Mellon felt he needed to play certain midfielders, whereas coming in next season, you might find that he gets more game time, especially, and your next player on the list is Vimal.
Yeah.
He might now have more of an opportunity to play in that position. So,
yeah,
what would you do? What would you do?
I actually had released down to Ollie Hammond. I think on the basis that I'm trying to make room in the squad to sign new, better players, and you can't retain them all. There's a squad of 35 players here, by the way. That's still an enormous number. It's about the same we had under Unsworth, by the way. So it's not too dissimilar. So I had him down as released to try and make a space in the squad to sign other players. But I wouldn't be overly upset if we did give him a year and he wanted to stay.
The thing is, on that point, just quickly counted the number of players that we're keeping here that are at right. So 1, 2, under contract 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's like 8 or 10 players that are under. It's not many. So and depending on the negotiations of the others, so we do have to keep a core of players.
4 weeks behind as well. Everybody else.
So I think there's those things to take into consideration. But look, I wouldn't be surprised if Ollie Hammond moved on for the reasons that you're saying, Andy, personally. But I think he'd probably I'd give him another season and see how he got on in League Two.
Fair enough. What do you do with Vimal Yoganathan returning to Barnsley?
Well, Wrexham have put a bid in for him, haven't they? Allegedly. Have they? Yeah.
I'd give him a big hug, say thank you so much, and wish him all the very best.
Year on loan?
Yeah, but he's just not. It's not going to happen, is it? I mean, it's not going to happen. So
you'd have thought not, but if Barnsley weren't going to play him, and we're going to send him out on loan, the obvious thing to do is to send him out on loan to a League Two club, and we are now a League Two club. So you'd leave the door open to say, look, if you want to send him out alone, we'll happily take him.
100%. I mean, 100%. I mean, I'd give him a 5-year contract if he wanted it, but it's just not going to happen, is it? You know what I mean? So it's.
I'll tell you what is interesting as well, because when we get to the end of the players that are currently under contracts and with us is, again, I'm going to defend Mickey Mellon because I've been critical of him signing older players and him not signing younger players. But you have to say, often young lads that McDermott and Mickey Mellon and Brabin have identified, the likes of Josh Stones, nobody had heard of him. No one else was interested in him. We sign him on loan. He looks good. Kai Payne, no one had heard of him. No one was interested in him. Comes in, looks good. Vimal Yoganathan, they're not bad at spotting these young lads, are they? And you can probably say, well, for every one of those, you've got a Jack Stretton as well. Okay, fine. You get them all right. But you'd say the majority of the young lads that they brought in on loan from clubs higher up the pyramid than us have been pretty successful.
But you got to give Thompson and Unser a bit of credit, because you look at Sidney Peck, came to us, didn't do much. He's played in the league, the Championship final for Sheffield United, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah,
he did though, didn't he? He did.
No, he did. Yeah. And he signed James Norwood as well, didn't he? And obviously that in the end that worked out well. But yeah, so everyone, even a stop clock tells the right time twice a day, as they say.
What are you doing with 28-year-old Joe Pritchard, who's out of contract, free agent?
Extend.
He is now the cover for Jake Caprice on that left wing, on that right wing back position. He's been fantastic in that position over the playoffs. So that's where
I thought he was outstanding. He was outstanding in the final. I thought he had a great game. I thought he was so good all the way through this playoff campaign. He's been the standout player for me.
Yeah, I like his versatility. He can play quite a few positions. He's reasonably mobile. He's got a good eye for a pass. He can put a cross in. Yeah, I like him.
He's 28 as well, so like peak age. So yeah, definitely sign him.
Otis Khan, I think he's already gone, but I think
he's already gone.
Release.
Yeah, didn't work out, did it? So
we eventually got through the midfielders. We're into the forwards now. We're into the forwards now. God's own number 9, Michael Fondop.
Release. Oh, joking. Extend contracts. Contracts.
Yeah, he's got to stay next season.
10-year deal.
We can't afford any mutinies amongst the fans, so he has to get another contract. And he's the talisman, isn't he? He's he kind of embodies everything that's good about Lattis at the minute. So hopefully he can go and have another great season in League Two next year.
I mean, I can't disagree with any of that. He's 31-year-old. He has had his best ever season. He's scored 20 goals in all competitions. And he does a lot of things that are really good. His hold-up play has improved immeasurably. He's not the walking red card he was. He's as fit as he's ever been, I think. His defensive abilities come into play when we're defending corners and free kicks. Yeah. He's the player of the season. I don't think you can offer him. You have to offer him a contract on the back of the season. For me, it would only be a 1-year deal on a 31-year-old who has had one good season. And I don't want to see Mike Fondop being the main man throughout the whole of League Two. I want him to play a role in the squad, but I don't want him to be our main man. And that's where we need to look for. We're going to need to sign another striker, I think. But I think I agree with you. You can't not offer him a contract. It's just the length of it for me that will be a debate. 37-year-old Joe Garner.
This is a tough one because he has just brought. Well, he's like, I don't know if he's a cult hero now or he's just a hero. But those 3 games in the playoffs were absolutely magnificent. He's 37. He's had a shocking time with injury since he's been at the club. Emotionally, after what he's done, and I know that the club love having him around. But I've gone for release because of his age and his fitness record. If he could play like he's played in the playoffs every week, I'd sign him. I'd give him another deal, absolutely. But I don't see that being the case.
He's not going to be cheap, is he? He's not going to be cheap. A player like Joe Garner, he's a player of calibre. I bet the funds could be used elsewhere. Is he going to top his performances in the playoffs? If I was him, I'd be retiring. But again,
I'd retire. Yeah, absolutely at the peak there. I think that's a great way to sign off your career. He was fantastic, but I don't think you're going to get that out of him every week.
And he's only scored 5 goals for us, hasn't he? He's not scored many goals for a striker. You need him to score goals, although he does. I don't know.
Pretty important ones in the last fortnight.
Yeah.
I know.
4 games on the spin he scored in. 4 games on the spin is for me, you have to release. There's no time for sentiment at this point. He's been amazing this last month, but over the course of the year and a half he's been here, I don't think he's warranted another contract at 37.
What I would say is that if he has aspirations to go into coaching, then I think he'd be a great person to keep around the club.
You could probably say the same about Dan Gardner, couldn't you? You could probably say if you're going to set up an academy and Joe Gardner and Dan Gardner want to be involved in that, great.
Yeah, and you could potentially sign him up as a player coach so that he still had the option. So I think these are the kind of things that dependent on the setup that the manager wants and trying to keep the right atmosphere and vibe there and everything. So. But yeah, taking it on a player basis, I think that, like Dave said, that's a perfect time to hang your boots up.
Billy Waters,
transfer list.
Yeah, he's under contract for another year, but I mean,
he struggled for Wrexham in League Two, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't see him in League Two scoring many goals.
Yeah, like I said earlier, once you go through this, you realise the amount of bollocks dropped are minimal, and this is another one for me. I think this was the worst of the signings in the summer because in the January transfer window because everyone kind of knew enough about him. So yeah, poor signing transfer list. I mean, we're obviously going to be saying of Alex Reid, Kurt Willoughby, and Joe Nuttall. All the best, aren't we? So we don't really need to go through those 3 necessarily, unless Dave wants to build some strong case around re-signing Alex Reid. Weirdly.
No, he's going to Carlisle, and he's signing for Carlisle anyway. I believe I've been told. So
good luck to them. To play alongside Regan Linney, which I think was a missed opportunity potentially. So then that leaves us with Cian Harrott, the winning goal scorer
hero.
From the weekend. The hero.
Yeah.
22. I really like the look of Harrott. I don't know about you. He's got there's something about him. He's a big, muscular lad. He'll get better. He's got a wicked left foot.
He's a cocky get, isn't he? This is
I like it. I know. I like cocky strikers, and I'm saving that now because of what we're about to talk about in a minute. I like strikers to be arrogant and cocky because I think it brings. There's something about that position that requires that overconfidence.
Because scoring goals is you require. You got to be able to be audacious and have a go and back yourself in those positions.
Yeah, agreed.
So we're all keeping Cian Harrott. He's under contract for another year. We're not extending it yet. We're just seeing how he goes.
And we're not sticking him on the list. So yeah, definitely keep him. Yeah.
Then let's talk about it. What are we doing with Sir James Norwood?
Oh God.
Well, let me start by saying that I probably before the playoffs, as we were coming towards the end of the season, I was thinking probably time to let him go because we've not got anywhere near enough football out of him, anywhere near enough goals out of him over the time frame that we've had him. And then you see the value of him at Wembley. Now, do you keep a player? It's a bit like with Joe Garner. Do you keep a player on the books on big money because occasionally he's going to chirp up and deliver on the big occasion? I think the argument there is no. But if depending on his, so for the short answer is depending on his fitness status and whether or not I'd re-sign him if we can get a full season out of him, and that all comes down to the medical advice that the club get off the physios and all that kind of stuff. I believe I heard someone who told me that he was planning on going to America to get his hamstring looked at or something. So we've got the option. A fit James Norwood in League Two, he's going to bag you goals. But whether or not he's going to stay fit is the thing, isn't it? So I think it's this is the most difficult one because it very much depends on what the medical assessment is on him, in my opinion.
Dave?
I've said extend, but on reduced terms, I'd say.
Well, I mean, that's down to whether he'll accept reduced terms and whether
yeah.
Working elsewhere.
That's what I'd be doing.
Right, you've got to take everything. I mean, you and I had said in the lead up to the playoffs, Matt, that he wasn't getting a new contract. I'd said it multiple times, and so had you, on the basis of he has had long periods off injured both seasons he signed. He scored 17 goals last year, which was a reasonable return. Obviously, minimal amount this year because he's barely played. You've got to factor in the fact that he's on $5,000 a week, which is a huge amount of money, even for League Two. We also come under the financial restrictions now. The National League isn't under, so Football League restrictions, you're only allowed to spend a certain amount of money on wages. So we're going to have to balance that. You've also got the fact that he can be a difficult manage, to put it mildly. His attitude sometimes can manifest in negativity and maybe a little bit selfish in terms of the way that he comes across and plays for the team. I think he didn't have a pre-season, did he? He got injured on the first day of pre-season. I don't think he's looked fit all year, fully fit. He looks like he always looks like he's carrying a bit of weight. I think he's a muscular lad. He showed immense strength to see off that Southend defender to win it on his chest. But he could do with a good pre-season and maybe just looking a little bit leaner. But then again, in that goal he scored at Wembley, he showed a quick turn of pace, didn't he? Lovely composure. The clash really showed through. I think that of all the people that could manage him and get the best out of him, it's Mellon, isn't it? Because they have a good relationship. He respects Mellon. I think he's behaved more since Mellon's come in than prior to Mellon. I think his behaviour was probably worse prior. Lots of people I find criticise him for throwing his arms in the air, having a go at teammates. Well, Fondop gave Vimal Jorgenathan one of the biggest bollockings on Wembley for that header, and he's God's number 9 who cannot be criticised. So they all do it, is what I'm saying. I'm not having a go at Mike. I understood his frustration as much as anything. But I've also understood James Norwood's frustration at times when he drops a shoulder, makes a run, he's in space and he doesn't get given the ball, often by Fondop, as well as others, and he throws his arms in the air. I've got no problem with that. If the relationship is there. I've heard loads of rumours that James Norwood and Mike Fondop don't get on. They look perfectly good mates on the pitch at the weekend. Their relationship looks fine to me. So I think on balance, if we can negotiate terms that are acceptable to both parties, and that might mean a lower basic wage and a bigger goal bonus or appearance bonus. Mm-hmm. So you can still earn the same money ultimately, but you've got to be fit to be able to and score. If Mellon can say to him, I want you to be showing me leadership skills in attitude and approach, and all of those things come true, then yes, I would sign him, because where are you going to get a better striker in League Two than James Norwood, who still showed the other day, not fully fit, that he's still got a class above some of the other players we've got. But there are a few ifs and buts that come with that. And
so if we do, so we're signing, we're giving Fondop a contract. We've got Harrott. All being well, as far as we're concerned, Waters will go. So we've only got 2 strikers and then Norwood.
Yeah.
So we still need to sign another 2 strikers then, don't we?
Well, at least one big. We need at least another. Well, if Waters doesn't go, right, you're only signing 1. If you can get rid of Waters, then you're signing 2. Probably is the way to look at it for me. Mm-hmm. But we're going to need to go out and have one marquee centre forward signing to come in alongside.
we need an I mean, this is the thing. I mean, this is where where do you put your money? Do you put your money into Norwood, or do you put your money do you try and bring somebody in who's like 27, 28, scoring goals? I don't know who that is. You're competing with everybody else above you it's really hard to bring somebody who's at their peak.
I'd have gone for Regan Linney. I'd have gone for Regan Linney. Regan Linney looks like a good player. I'm really surprised that he didn't wait a little bit longer.
But also unproven in the Football League, though, as well, is another thing. And also in this thing about are we trying to bring in players that can cut it in League One as well? We're looking at who we've already got. Can Kean Harrett cut it in League One? Don't know. Is it a bit early to tell? Maybe. Mike Fondop, he's not going to probably cut it in League One. With all due respect, and his age and everything else as well, probably do well in League Two. James Norwood, by the time we get to League One, probably going to be a little bit the wrong side of 35 and whatnot. So, really, can we bring in a striker? Can we find a prospect somewhere that's going to come in that's going to be, taking us into League One? Because I don't think we have that at the minute in our forward line. So
I think I'd be happy to see James Norwood sign, because that would hopefully mean that we'd come to an agreement that worked for all parties, and you'd have a bit of class up front then, wouldn't you? Can I just list out the other players that we've had on loan this season or signed for a short period who are not on that list because they're not with us anymore, and see what you make of any of these? So Callum Dolan, I don't know if you saw, Callum Dolan said on a tweet after Latics got promoted, he was really pleased to see us back in the Football League because we paid for his rehabilitation after he got injured with us. You see that?
I saw that, yeah, I saw that.
What I liked about that is he's not our player, he's Fleetwood's, but we paid for it because he got injured playing for us. Another little sign that we're a proper club, isn't it? That taking care of personnel that work for you. I thought that was a nice touch. Callum Dolan, would you have a look at him? I think he's been released by Fleetwood, I think.
No.
No, not off the top of my head, no.
Josh Stones.
No.
You had your chance, boy.
Yeah. Sam Taylor, that we had on loan from Tranmere.
No.
Sam Clucas will see you back at Boundary Park next season playing for Shrewsbury. What an odd little turnaround that was for him.
Yeah. Wasn't he at Wembley watching Latics?
Oh, I believe so, yeah. Some people saw him.
Yeah,
that's right.
To him, yeah.
Jack Stretton.
No.
Nah.
Kai Payne.
Yes.
You'd have a look at him, wouldn't you? I think if
has he been released, or
no? He's on a contract for another couple of years at Wigan, I think.
Right, yeah. He looked decent, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And Kane Drummond, is he serving time at His Majesty's pleasure? I think he might be.
Really?
Is he?
I think so. He's in trouble with the law, I think.
Right. Is it from Chesterfield, wasn't it? He was
Chesterfield lad, yeah.
What's he done? What's he alleged to have done?
Alleged to have done. I'll look it up for you if you want while you two keep talking.
Hey Dave, did you know that listeners can now buy us a coffee or any other kind of hot beverage?
Ooh.
What's your favourite hot beverage, Dave?
A macchiato.
And how do you like your macchiato?
Black with lots of milk. Oh.
No cream?
No.
Well, if you want to buy Dave a
macchiato,
then go to buymeacoffee.com/We Are Oldham. I'll just have a Nescafe.
Ooh. Thank you, listeners.
Oh dear. Wow.
Have you found it, Dave?
Yeah, he's allegedly. Well, allegedly he's wow, beat up a guy on the floor in Liverpool city centre allegedly. Not good.
Is he doing time for it? Is he?
It doesn't say.
Andy, you're on mute.
Spinal.
I don't think he's done. I don't think he's been in court for it yet. I think he's just.
All right, so it's a charge.
Yeah.
No, it is allegedly. Right.
Yeah,
well,
allegedly,
either way, I don't think looking back is the way forward. I think looking forward is the way forward. And like you said, though, Andy, this is a different era completely, and we're in League Two, so that's going to massively help who we can attract compared to being in the National League. we now have a reputation within the game of being a proper club who look after people, like you've said.
Yeah.
So obviously we know that there are connections with Everton, with Man City, with hopefully we'll start to see some more of these sort of clubs, good football league clubs, sending players our way for next season. But I think ultimately we need to be signing players that have resale value, like we've already said, and we've got our academy back on, so we need to start. It's a different era now. That period of non-league, of sliding out of League One, sliding out of League Two, losing everything and having to start from scratch is over. It's it's actually exciting to think about this time next year when we're doing the squad pod. Who will we have signed? Who will be be exciting us? Who will have been the surprise package this season in League Two? Will Mickey Mellon have seen out the second year of his contract? There's a lot of unknowns, but it's a totally different feeling going into this season than it was. Can you remember how you were feeling, Andy, as this season started? I think we were cautiously optimistic. I think was probably
cautiously optimistic. I predicted 4th, you predicted 5th. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so Dave, less said about you, the better. I think we felt that we could compete, but we didn't think we were good enough to win it, and we were right. And yeah, I was cautiously optimistic. The thing that's really noticeable now is the cricket season's been underway for quite a few weeks now, and usually at this time of year, for me, I'm sort of tired. I've had enough of the football, and I want a break and a rest. And I can recharge my batteries for when August comes around again, and I just get into enjoying the cricket in the sunshine and seeing how Lancashire get on and watching England. And usually it's a more enjoyable sort of few months where I don't have the stress and the pressure of Latics. This moment in time, Lancashire are absolutely bobbins at cricket. And I'm gutted the football's finished and can't wait for August. And that is the difference this time around, is my feelings are totally in reverse. Yeah, it's great.
But it has been a long season. There's no doubt about that. It has been an emotionally draining season. It's been tough.
Yeah,
at times it's been fun. It started off brilliantly. Like the first half of the season before Christmas was great. We were all really enjoying what was going on. We couldn't wait for the York game. York, it's kind of a lot of it is revolved around York, which is quite amusing. After Christmas, second half of the season was hard. Doing this podcast is hard when you're not inspired by what you're watching. We've been talking for over an hour and a half now, and it's easy because we're talking about the players, the squad, the optimism, Wembley, promotion, next season. It's great, but it's not always easy. And, we're just about to sign off the end of our 5th season, Andy, doing the podcast, and our 4th season doing the phoning, Dave. And it's not always easy. It's a big commitment, but my God,
it's worth it.
After last week, you realise why you do it, and not just do the podcast, but why you put up with supporting a club like Oldham. Why you put up with, because it's been. I mean, it has. It's like we've said it many times. It's hard work for the likes of us, and it's hard work for those youngsters. And we've said how much we wanted to see the Atleticos and our kids and nephews, getting a buzz off being a Latics fan. And last weekend has cemented Latics into people's lives. That like kids now. That the kids now are just after that. That's it, and it will have brought a lot of people back to the table. A lot of people who, haven't followed Latics for a long time for whatever reasons are now back and are interested. And hopefully, season ticket sales will. What do you reckon? 4,500, 5,000 based
Easy.
on.
Yeah.
I mean, the sales already. What do you reckon,
lads? It was. I mean, it was closing in on 4, wasn't it? I think the back end of last week. I've seen a lot of people complaining about the fact that the early bird wasn't extended. I can kind of understand the club not doing that, if I'm honest. The early bird was there for long enough. The only thing with it is that we had an extraordinary amount of expense
with Wembley and all that kind of stuff in between, which would have had an impact on people's ability to buy a season ticket as well, maybe. But yeah, the club have got to make money. They've got to try and capitalise on this. They've introduced a 3-step payment thing, which will obviously be which will help. So, but yeah, I mean, before we finish, let's start with you, Dave. Have you got any closing comments as we draw the curtains on the now long to be remembered 24-25 season?
Just thank you, Mickey Mellon. Thank you, the Rothwells, and thank you, James Norwood. By God, what a player and what a goal! It was amazing. Yeah, it's been a turbulent season, but let's just stay in League 2 and go for the playoffs next year.
Yeah, let's do it. Andy?
I think Oldham Athletic is a fantastic little football club to support. We're probably the biggest little football club there is around. And if everyone sticks together, we can go on a hell of a journey over the next 5-10 years with the backing, ownership and plans that are afoot for the footprint of Boundary Park and everything that surrounds Oldham itself. This could be a really exciting period to support Latics. So get all your mates, your friends, your neighbours, family members to get behind it if you live in Oldham or even beyond, and don't just armchair support City or United.
Yeah.
Sorry, just one more thing.
Yeah.
No more non-league day. Fuck off. Yeah, no.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, my closing thoughts would be I'm lucky that I've managed to thank Luke and Darren and Mickey personally. I've also got to thank. I was going around at that end of the party at the park, just hugging everybody, hugging the media team, hugging everybody, and everybody deserves hugs and praises, and they all deserve a fantastic summer. I hope they have a great break. I'd like to thank everybody who listens to the podcast, everybody who listens to and joins in with the phone in, everybody who leaves comments, everybody who shares it, everybody who's bought us coffees, everybody who subscribes. We love doing this. We love being part of the journey. And we're just so glad that you can come on this with us, all our fan guests. Paul for the Latics Man questions, Arlene for the blog. We're a real, like you said, Andy, we're a collective, and that it's, you know, I've used the analogy before, but sometimes you have to burn the forest down before it grows back thicker, and we've grown back thicker as a club, as a fan base. We are more united than ever, I think, and there's a connection between, you know, the board at the football club and everybody else that is fantastic. My parting shot would be keep these memories, and it's obviously not going to be difficult, but keep Halifax, keep York, keep Wembley in your mind and take that into next season, because that energy going into next season could be the difference. That momentum, we have not had upward momentum for donkey's years, have we, Andy? Go on.
If we won the opening game of the season, we'll have 5 green ticks.
There we go. That's it. The elusive 5 green ticks. So I'm glad we didn't. I'm so glad that Wembley game wasn't the last one of a green tick. Like if we'd have beat Forest Green and then we'd have been going into that needing that one. Now we've done 4 already this season a couple of times. I was all right with that. But yeah, what a season! Like what a season! And there's absolutely no reason now that next season can't. I'm not going to say it's going to be as good. It's not going to finish as magnificently as it. Well, you never know. But next season we've got everything to look forward to. Our darkest days are behind us. We are the best. We were the best supporters in the National League. Let's go and be the best supporters in League 2. There's absolutely no reason why we can't do that. We're going to sign off with a tune that Matt Buzzerberry has been working on this week, which encapsulates some of the emotion from Wembley, and I just want to sign off with that and say thanks to Matt for sending this in, and you'll probably be able to find it in various places coming up. But we did it.
At the end of our 5th season as a podcast, at the end of our 3rd season in the National League, we did it. We're out of it, and we're on our way. Thanks very much for getting involved in the podcast all this year, and we'll see you again at the end of the summer. Take care, everyone. I'll leave you with Matt.
The owls eat the shrimps. The owls eat the shrimps. Owls eat the shrimps. Followed up, it's another one. Has it gone all the way in? This is absolutely incredible. Marching on to Wembley, the journey's end not far. The owl beats his wings so proud and lands upon the park. A season of some hits and misses, but Mickey knew the score. He's our National League Joe, and Frizz the lad shook us to our core. The owls eat the shrimps. The owls eat the shrimps. Shrimp shells everywhere. The owls eat the shrimps. The owls eat the shrimps. The owls eat the shrimps. Shrimp shells everywhere. The owls eat the shrimps. With a steely-eyed glare, the owl exhales one final time. Pass them, beat the run like hell. Now watch the Oldham climb. Extra time is ticking. Oh, King James, he's different class. A supporting cast from Joe and King. The tears just flow like wine. The owls eat the shrimps. The owls eat the shrimps. Shrimp shells everywhere. The owls eat the shrimps. The owls eat the shrimps. The owls eat the shrimps. Shrimp shells everywhere. The owls eat the shrimps.
So, Oldham were relegated out of the Football League on Saturday for the first time in their 115-year history. They were also the first team to have played in the Premier League to drop out of the Football League altogether. Here's a tweet from journalist Will McGee. Another community institution abandoned